Tonight on Q2, a grizzly discovery in an unexpected place.
That's right. The big bears are creeping even closer to Yellowstone County, with the first confirmed sighting in the Pryor Mountains since the 1800s.
I don't believe in my lifetime that's ever been any sighting of a grizzly bear in the Pryors.
Plus, a hefty price tag.
4 of us voted against it to go to the voters because we don't think it's transparent. We don't think it's clear.
The fate of a massive parks bond will soon be in the hands of voters, and some have hesitations about it passing. We dive into the debate.
And on the attack.
Where did you get bit?
On my legs, and my arms, and my head.
It's that time of year. Mosquitoes are not only back, they're invading the city.
The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Andrea Lutz. For the first time in more than a century, a notorious neighbor has moved back into the Pryor Mountains.
That's right. Today, Fish, Wildlife and Parks confirmed a grizzly bear sighting in the Pryors. The first confirmed sighting there since the late 1800s.
And now with the big bear population just a mountain range over, MTN's Jackie Coffin talked to locals who say the return was just a matter of time.
It was just last week I was out here in the Pryor Mountains telling you about expanded recreation opportunities. Well, it turns out it's more than just people expanding in the Pryors. Wildlife managers say they've confirmed the first spotting of a grizzly bear in these mountains since the 1800s.
Beware of bear. Signs we're used to seeing in the Beartooths or near Yellowstone Park, but not in the Pryor Mountains.
Born and raised here my whole life. I don't believe in my lifetime that's ever been any sighting of a grizzly bear in the Pryors.
Crisscrossing National Forest, BLM, the Crow Reservation in the Montana-Wyoming border, the Pryors sit about 30 miles as the crow flies or the bear walks south of Billings. But FWP is keeping tight-lipped about exactly where the grizz was spotted.
We are not going to release more specific information on where in the Pryors it's at.
FWP Region 5 spokesperson Chrissy Webb says the agency won't release the photo that allowed wildlife managers to confirm the bear was a grizzly, and also won't say if it was spotted near trails or recreation areas.
Again, we are respecting the wishes of the person who initially sent in this photograph and the information.
The Pryors are just a short drive away from Bridger, and Doug Judkins of the Bridger Fur Company knows them well. He's surprised but not too shocked to hear grizzlies have moved close to town.
Who knows where? We don't know if it's an adult. We don't know if it's a yearling. We don't know what it is.
Grizzly populations continue to rebound and expand across Montana. Several have been spotted in recent years in and around Red Lodge.
Right there in between the trees.
And even on the plains of northern Montana near Great Falls.
Do you see that? He just ran through our yard.
I mean, if you look back, like to the Lewis and Clark journals, we saw grizzly bear population at that time was pretty expansive across the state of Montana.
What the grizzly population looks like in the Pryors moving forward is unknown.
It is way too early to make any speculation.
But Webb says the point is to make every Montanan bear aware, even in the Pryors.
If you're going there to recreate, you better be darn careful.
In Bridger, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
2,312, that's the number of calls for service the Billings Police Department responded to just this last week. These new crime statistics are now being shared on social media as Billings police provide the public with a better glimpse into crime trends in our city. Tonight, our Kelsey Marison meets up with BPD to learn what makes these reports so valuable.
Last week, the Billings Police Department began posting these weekly briefs to social media in an effort to show the public how our officers are spending their time. And the numbers are shocking.
295 in a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
The numbers can be staggering.
It's a little like they run around a lot. So how many cops are on at any given hour?
9 to 11.
9 to 11. So 2,000 in a week. So it sounds like they're overloaded.
Weekly briefs from the Billings Police Department are now being posted every Monday to the department's Facebook page in effort to show the public how busy officers are and how their time is spent.
190 arrest reports in 1 week. How does that make you feel?
That's incredible. Oh my gosh, yeah. Wow, okay.
One of our followers just sent us a message on Messenger and was like, hey, there's this other department that does something similar to this. Is it something that you guys could maybe do? And so Sergeant Puckett and I looked at it.
Lieutenant Lennick runs much of the social media for the department and says the new weekly postings are already sparking conversation.
It's a mixed bag of comments, right? So there's always the ones that are like, great job, which we appreciate. We've had some questions. Some I'll answer, some I won't.
And that's not the only change BPD is making. The department has also decided to make the switch from Twitter to Facebook to alert the public about major crime events.
We used the TweetDeck in order to put out our information. They blocked TweetDeck for anybody that wasn't verified, so that was going to require us to become verified and to pay. And it was not financially responsible as a government agency to choose to pay a social media site.
That change could have an impact. Due to Facebook algorithms, new posts may not immediately show up on your feed, which means you'll have to seek out the BPD page.
I mean, if you want the information we're putting out, you're going to have to follow the page.
Big changes, with a new way of distributing information and letting the public know what its police officers are doing to keep the city safe.
That's incredible. I didn't even know that many calls could be made, honestly.
In Billings, Kelsey Marison, MTN News.
Tonight, Montana's Democratic Party is calling on Montana's Senate president to resign. Those calls come after State Senator Jason Ellsworth was accused of domestic abuse by Lindsay Marolo, his longtime partner. On May 2nd of this year, Marolo filed for an order of protection against Ellsworth, and it was granted on the same day. According to the Montana Free Press, she accuses the Hamilton Republican of physically abusing her multiple times. Her petition alleges that Ellsworth shoved, choked, and pushed her down a flight of stairs during the course of the relationship, with the last instance coming on October of 2022. She says she made Ellsworth move out after the latest incident, but that he continued emailing her and leaving notes on her truck. Ellsworth has served in the state Senate since 2019 and was elected Senate president ahead of this year's session.
Meanwhile, Montana's Commissioner of Labor and Industry, Lori Esau, resigned from her post, the decision coming after her alleged DUI in Missoula on Sunday. A spokesperson for the governor says Esau offered her resignation Monday. She's charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, a first offense. She served as head of the Montana Department of Labor since January 2021, appointed by Governor Greg Gianforte. The Department of Labor Chief of Staff will serve as the acting commissioner.
And here we are. We've got areas right now, anything in the pink, a severe thunderstorm watch into effect, meaning the conditions are right for severe weather to develop. And where you see this gold shaded boxes here, that's where we have severe storms that are popping right now. And that includes around the Billings area and off towards areas towards the east. We're already seeing some of those storms develop, some of them with heavy rain, gusty winds, and lots of reports of small hail. Details coming up in a few minutes.
It's official. A $143 million park bond will go in front of Billings voters in November. That money will go towards upgrades to several city parks, as well as a new recreation center at Amen Park. But it will be far from an easy sell for taxpayers, as passing it would mean owners of a $400,000 house could pay $200 more in property taxes. Tonight, our David J. dives deeper into the bond.
Some on the council who voted yes say it was important to give voters a chance to make a decision. Others who voted no like the idea of a rec center and improvements to parks and trails, but say there may not be enough information for taxpayers to decide.
Voting in opposition, council members Neese, Owen, Tidswell, and Purington.
The city council voted 7-4 to let the voters decide on the bond. A new South Side Rec Center would take up almost $87 million of the $140 million total. So some on the council proposed having it be on its own separate bond.
The rec center is a beautiful project, and it has potential to be a huge impact in our community. But whether it should skip the line ahead of projects like Poly Vista, South Park Pool, Centennial Castle Rock, I can't go there.
Council member Jennifer Owen says she would like to see more transparency and clarity on how the money would be spent on the potential projects.
We need to show voters that we will do what we say we do. We need to invest in what we have and then bring new assets on in a responsible manner. I think we can do that, but we're not there yet.
Council member Pam Purington says she and those who voted no like the idea of the rec center and parks, but also want more information.
We have a fiduciary obligation to the voters to put a ballot out there that contains correct information, and they know what they're voting on.
Purinton and Owen want the council to pass a resolution that will better outline the projects. If passed, property taxes would increase by $50 for every $100,000 a person's home is valued. Meanwhile, proponents like TrailNet Executive Director Christy Drake say the price is well worth it to increase the Magic City's recreation opportunities.
$150 a year is just not that much for that amount of projects and benefit that we are all going to see.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 530 News on Q2, a run for revival. One man looking to race across America for a fourth time. It's all for a good cause. We'll meet him in just a bit.
But coming up next.
I'm Alina Howder. That wet weather that we've been seeing has created a breeding ground for mosquitoes across Billings. We'll tell you more coming up.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
The very wet June may now be behind us, but because of all of that rain, it meant an infestation of mosquitoes. In fact, they are leaving their bite marks all across the city right now.
Yeah, tonight our Alina Howder looks into this annoying issue and what can be done to keep them away.
This year's month of June was the third wettest on record here in Billings, and unfortunately all that water means an explosion of mosquitoes. In fact, it's so bad here at this West End neighborhood that the city had to come by and make some changes.
It was a beautiful day for the Andersons to picnic at Riverfront Park, or so they thought until they stepped out of their car.
Mosquitoes are horrible.
Amaya may only be 7, but she's right. Mosquitoes are the monster you can't escape this summer, and that's because they breed in standing water, something we've had a ton of this summer.
It doesn't have to be ponds. It can be just puddles. It can be gutters that hold water. It can be, the famous examples are tires.
Dr. James Barron is a professor of biology at MSU Billings. He says the recent hot temperatures haven't helped either, as mosquitoes take longer to breed in cooler weather.
A month ago, it might have taken 3 or 4 weeks for mosquitoes to go from egg to mosquito. Now it's taking about 6 days.
If you think you get bit by the bugs more than others, you may be right. It turns out they're attracted to certain people more than others because of the chemicals that come off our skin.
I heard that some people are more allergic to them than other people are, and that's why they get so big sometimes, like the big welts that I've been getting this year when I get bit by the mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes are so bad in the Copper Ridge neighborhood on the West End that the city had to do something about it.
We get complaints with ponds like the one behind me is just the standing water, the stagnant water.
The city has started tossing mosquito dunks in the pond as well as one by the golf course in the Heights.
What it does is it produces a bacteria that's harmful to the mosquito larvae. It doesn't hurt the large bug, but the larvae, as they're feeding on the bacteria, that's what kills them.
While this uptick in mosquitoes might be normal for the season, it doesn't make it any less irritating. But thankfully, Mother Nature has a solution.
Bats and swallows and insectivorous birds and things feed on mosquitoes. Fish feed on the larvae. So they're part of the system.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
More mosquitoes typically also mean a spike in cases of West Nile virus, but this summer seems to be a bit of an exception.
Yeah, take a look at this map here behind us. According to the CDC, there have only been 36 confirmed cases in humans across the country this year, and none in Montana. Wyoming is reporting just 1 confirmed case. Now, by comparison, there were 1,126 cases in 2022, including 90 deaths.
West Nile virus is the most common disease spread by mosquitoes in the U.S. Most people who are infected do not feel sick, but about 20% of those do develop a fever and sometimes symptoms like headaches and rashes. 1 out of every 150 people experience those severe symptoms, including inflammation of the brain.
And Ed's joining us once again, and we've got another one of our viewer pictures tonight.
That's right. Leon is often over in Yellowstone National Park and says this is one of the biggest eruptions for Old Faithful. You can remember, see how high it is up compared to where the trees are. Thanks for sharing that, Leon, at weather@ktvq.com. What's been popping up this afternoon are thunderstorms. We'll talk about that when we come back.